Hey guys, I hope you're having a good day or night or whatever time it is where you are. Thought I'd just make a little bit of content for my channel. I don't post to my YouTube channel very often, but this is wanted to do something that I often do, just kind of off camera, I guess, off the record button, just kind of in Discord voice chats where I just stream myself going around Google Earth and talking about what I see. And I thought I'd take a look at the railroad infrastructure and system and lines of the Niigata, Japan area. I'm not exactly sure why I chose Niigata. I think it's a name that just came to mind from me looking at Google Earth a couple days ago. I just kind of happened to be looking in this area, and I decided I'd just take a look. This is, it's not really much of a review. It's not really much of a overview. It's more of just a look at what I see, and I kind of describe it as I see it, and find some things that I think could be improved, or things that I think are really cool. And it's very bottom of the bucket, bottom of the barrel. That's the term. Content, but it's fun for me to make, and I hope it's fun for you guys to watch in some way or form. So we're gonna start ourselves here at Niigata Station. Not really. It's not called Central Station, or just Niigata Station. And we have a lot of commercial stuff in here. Maybe even have a KFC in the is that a parking garage? I think it's down below in one of these shops. And so we're just gonna kind of start with something simple. We'll start with something simple like the Shinkansen. So here we have the Shinkansen station. We have a kind of a two-level station here. We have the upper level, this is the Shinkansen tracks, I assume, and then over here we have more like regional rail type station over here. Both have 4 tracks. It seems that this one has one island and probably 2 side platforms inside that I can't see, whereas the Shinkansen station looks like it has 2 island platforms for 4 tracks. And these 4 tracks actually split off from 2 tracks in some very simple geometry, actually very simple. You have crossover, and then we have I'm not exactly sure what the term for it, but a split here. And like, I assume that type of very simple geometry is on purpose. I mean, it's a very highly engineered, very purposeful, purposely built system, and so they kind of trim the fat, essentially. I mean, you have like I think it's called a double crossover here. Like, this is very much modern and efficient engineering here with the geometry and the track operations, or whatever it's called. I kind of am lost for terms. Sometimes I'm not a full permanent way engineer or anything. I'm just a college student who wants to be something like that maybe one day. But yeah, so we just let's follow it out. I think this is west, because it kind of comes up from the south in a way, I think. Or maybe it might come from this direction. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, you know what? Actually, I don't. So this is actually, I think, a new section that they haven't finished yet. So it actually comes from the west, from Tokyo, which is all the way down here, and it terminates, or at least right now, it terminates at Niigata. But actually, you can see this is a new section of tracks. Actually, we're gonna follow that and see where it goes. And I feel like I've looked at this before, but I'm just gonna pretend this is new to me, just for the content. So yeah, this is a very, very tall viaduct here. Very tall. Like, you can see the houses. This is like 3 times the height of the houses next to it. I assume that's one for noise. I assume they're trying to make the noise kind of go up and sideways and not down. I don't know exactly what the physics behind that is, but also just kind of separating it from everything. And get it over this residential area, because they kind of need to go, so they need to come over this road here, which is pretty high, pretty elevated above the rest of the town here, and because it's coming in a bridge over the mainline railroad tracks. And this is an expressway. It's not an expressway. It's not designated as such. It's just National Route 7. because in Japan you have E routes, E roads or whatever they're called, which are technically expressways, and I don't actually, yeah, here's one, E49. So this is an expressway, at least as it's designated, and you can see it's tolled. And usually E roads are tolled. But over here we have, I almost lost it, here it is. We have a road that I assume is not tolled, and it's just a partial expressway. I don't think it's not completely grade separated at all points. I think, actually no, this one might actually be grade separated at all points, and with what is it, there's a word for it, I'm forgetting, something control, in order to get onto the road, limited something. I'm not gonna spend my time remembering what that term is. I'd have to Wikipedia it. My brain is filled to the brim, I think, with terms, but limited access something. Okay, whatever. So we have, yeah, no, I'm not focusing on roads for this. I'm focusing on trains for this episode. So actually, this is an interesting bridge here. So I assume this is going to be Shinkansen infrastructure, and we have a very old-looking truss structure here, which is not what you expect to see on a Shinkansen line. So that's interesting, because this is all very like trademark Shinkansen viaduct. Like you see this in Tokyo, you see this everywhere. And some interesting catenary. This must be like yeah, this is a substation, it looks like. And I don't think this is complete. Here's a depot. This is a JR toll central, yeah, JR Central Nihon something. That's Niigata something Senta. My kanji is terrible. I need to actually go to Japan and fix up my Japanese. But so yeah, this looks like this might actually be, so this to me looks like all this exists for right now is to be a line to the depot. That's all it exists for right now. There's no extension of the line this way. It's just the depot line. So that's why it's actually not shown on the map, because there's no service along it. So that's actually it's a lot of infrastructure for something that isn't. It just seems very much like something. Honestly, that might be why there's a truss bridge here, not just like a. They're probably going pretty slow on this. That's the thing, is they're not at service speed. So that is actually pretty interesting. That's a cool discovery. So I assume if they do extend this, they're one, going to replace that bridge, and two, going to extend it this way along this little canal / river, because there's a lot of empty land here, and that's cheap. So that's what you can probably expect to see in the near future. If also another possibility could be that they somehow get it to follow the mainline railroad, but that's not usually what you see with Shinkansen routes. They don't usually follow the same. Well, they do in Tokyo, but they don't usually follow the same right of way as an older railroad. And actually, what is interesting bridge is that it's a completely straight bridge on a curve, and so you have a curve, straight, curve. So that's I wonder if this bridge is older than the rest of the line. It might have carried just a regular railroad at one point, but that seems unlikely considering how high it is now, removed from the rest of the railroad. So that's an interesting discovery. So we've kind of discovered this eastern portion of the Shinkansen line out here. So I guess let's now take a look westward. So this is the Jouletsushinkansen, and it comes out here, and it seems it does follow the main line just a little bit. It's a little higher. I keep calling it the main line. I don't actually know if it's a main line. I would assume this right here is the main line, and here's a junction here, and I assume the main line actually goes this way. So so we're gonna take a look west, and we have it coming through the town, following this little road here. They probably had to get rid of. You can see there's parking underneath here. So this is they must have bulldozed a ton of houses stores or whatever was there in order to get this in. And actually, you can see that there's both direction roads here. So often, like in America, if you do something like this, you have one-way roads on either side. But I think one-way roads in Japan are just not a common thing. That's the thing. I remember my friend was telling me about this, is that there's a lot of places where like a one-way, where you typically you'd see one-way roads, you know, kind of in a median, but they're two ways. So that's interesting. But I might be totally wrong about that, but this just kind of proves my point right here, is that in America you'd see something like a two-way, you know, 2 lanes one direction, 2 lanes the other direction, but instead you have, you know, one lane, one lane, one lane, one lane. So that's interesting. Sorry if my voice is a little gravelly. I actually don't know why it's so gravelly. I think it's because I'm in my lower register when I talk this quietly. So, oh my god, you can see the parking. It's just like, yep, this is all parking underneath here now. And I mean, it's a way of doing it, I guess. And it's getting lower. It's getting lower, 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 lower. And oh my god, there's actually buildings underneath here. Let's take a look. What is this? Not much. Not exactly sure. This to me, oh, Kohi Olda, yes, okay. So this is like a coffee shop. It's a cafe essentially. So that's pretty cool. They've taken back the space, I guess, from this big structure. And Shinkansen lines in general don't seem to be as destructive as you know, a standard highway. I mean, I can show you an example down here. Yeah, there's a route that they call it the something bypass, and it's pretty low to the ground, really wide. You know, it's only 4 lanes, so 2 lanes in each direction, but it's really wide, and it just kind of proves how much space cars take up. And this is kind of a pseudo expressway because it has a lot of not expressway standard entrances here. Oh, controlled access is the term I was looking for back there. I just remembered. So this is this would, in the U.S., this would not qualify as an interstate highway, or even just kind of a expressway at all. This is one actually very unsafe. I assume, yeah, the people are probably going 60 miles an hour through here. So this is, and you can see there's like a queue of people waiting to get on. This is, yeah, that's an interesting little entrance there. So it's kind of a pseudo expressway, but huge mess that it made here. And you know, if you live in this area and you want to get to this area, there's not a single crossing of this expressway anywhere between here and here. So because it's all level, it's all at grade, and it gets a little high up. And actually, okay, there's actually one. Yeah, there's one here, and it's kind of, I don't know, is there even a sidewalk through here? This looks really narrow. Okay, they built a little separate tunnel for it. Yeah, we've kind of gotten sidetracked. This is terrible. We've gotten sidetracked a little bit, so let's go back and take a look at what the Shinkansen line has done to this area. So not too much, it seems, in terms of impact. They've pretty much just like said, okay, you can have little shops underneath and there's parking, but it kind of comes through here and, you know, just kind of generally follows what must have been a road at some point. Oh, and here's another example of, so this actually does look one way to me. Yeah, this is a one-way road. And you have another one-way road on this side, but then you go back to both directions on each side. So two-way traffic on each side. So I think just wherever it's wide enough, they always just say you need at least 1 lane in each direction. If you can fit 2 lanes on one road, that's one way, 1 lane in one direction, 1 lane in the other direction. It's not really about, we want 2 lanes in one direction, 2 lanes in the other direction. And so, yeah, so this actually goes over the highway, and this really cool bridge structure here, where instead of, you know, because they can't, you know, build a pillar in the middle here, there's not enough room to stick pillars into the road here, and they don't really want to build like a suspension structure here. So this is kind of the modern solution to that, is these not really what you call them, like big concrete slabs that hold up the structure. So that's kind of the modern solution. It's kind of like almost like, because you can, what happens all the time is they cover this up. So actually all of this is covered. So it's kind of a little mini tunnel in a way that it goes through. But in this case, they just left it bare. And it goes over the river. So it's elevated. I mean, Shinkansens are typically elevated through their entire route. If they're not in a tunnel, they're elevated. And that's why they're very expensive to build, because, you know, the entire time you're just elevated up. And actually, okay, so this is I would assume this is an emergency egress point and also just a service point. So like if I get derailed anywhere on here, this is where you have to go to get off the structure. Seems like there's not enough of those. I don't know exactly what their plan is. If in the case of you're really, really far from one, I guess just walk along the line. At least it's not third rail powered. Can't really do that at high speeds anyway. I think the world record for third rail train speed is like 110 miles an hour. You can't get fast with third rail. Yeah, it's a pantograph. It's a catenary. So not too much of a danger in terms of people getting shocked by the electrification, but yeah, that's a long way to walk if you're derailed all the way back here. So anyway, so yeah, pretty much we're kind of getting out of Niigata. I would just say kind of the border here is kind of here in terms of Niigata. I don't know where the actual municipal border is, or even if it's a municipal border. But, you know, Shinkansen lines are always two-track unless they're converging. That's mostly because it's not that frequent of a service, so they don't really need, and there's not that many different services, so they don't really need more than two tracks, and it's also very expensive to build four-track alignments this much elevated. And I think it's elevated all the way out, and I'm pretty sure it's elevated for most of its run. And what we have okay, so this is interesting. I'm not sure what this is actually. So this might be a remnant of this might be something that they just don't use anymore. I'm not exactly sure what it is, because we have what looks like what used to be a switch into the tracks, and it might be for maintenance. It might be for maintenance, maybe. I'm not sure, because you can only fit about one or two carriages right here. That's interesting. No clue what that is. Never seen anything like that. Okay, and yeah, actually, you know, I'll call the border right where the 3D imagery stops. That's about it. Kind of really sharp, you know, broken glass looking cut off here. But yeah, so I mean, it's probably elevated all the way. So, but I can't tell anymore really. So I'm just gonna not go out that far. So let's actually, so we've covered the Shinkansen. You know, it's an express service, no other stops, straight into Niigata Central. That's not the name of the station, but I'm just going to call it Niigata Central. And so let's take a look at some of the regular railroad lines here. So we have, like I said, a two-level station, and we have what it looks like construction going on in this image. So I assume during normal times you have a line that comes into here, and there's tracks here, and you can see the island platform here under construction being absolutely torn up. So this is the Ichigo line. Sorry, Echigo. I almost, Ichigo would be Ichigo. So Echigo line. And you can actually see where it gets completely cut off about here. So under construction at the point that this imagery was taken, but I would assume it's probably back to normal. You have a little yard here for out of service trains. Fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. No, just 6. It's kind of gives me a little bit of a Long Island City yard vibe. Except in Long Island City, you actually have passenger platforms because it's a terminus station with a yard next to it. So it'd be interesting if they were like, hey, let's, you know, build another station right here, because why not? It's kind of the vibe, because this would be like a, what is it? I can't remember the name of the station that's before Long Island City, because I'm not from New York and I don't know much, but I was playing Train Simulator today and it reminded me of that. Oh, and this is interesting. So so you can see the very narrow gauge tracks here. I don't actually remember what the exact gauge of these tracks is. Terrible grammar. And we have what looks like what used to be some sort of spur onto some other portion of the station that I'm not exactly sure what that is for, because it doesn't, they might have rebuilt it to be thinner. Maybe it might have been an extra track here at some point, but this looks like a pretty permanent concise structure. So I would feel like they would remove that if they were rebuilding that much. So, and I'm not sure why they would remove it, but that's interesting. It's a little bit of a mystery right there. Just kind of, a little ramp, ramp your train onto this onto the lower level tracks. So yeah, I'm not really sure what the service difference between this upper level and this lower level station. This might be more local stuff, and this might be the more express stuff. Comes to the upper tracks, and you can see you have probably a direct interchange between these trains and the Shinkansen. Whereas when you come into these lower level tracks, you have to go up a level or two, because it does actually seem like there is another level. I don't think there's tracks there. I think it's just shops or something. But that's interesting. So let's take a look at where. I'm going to start with the upper level tracks, and let's see where they go. So they kind of join up with the lower level tracks, and they do not look good, but they kind of, skirt about, come about underneath the Shinkansen line, and goes to a little structure. Oh, that's interesting. Looks almost like a tunnel entrance, a little tunnel entrance here, and I'm not exactly, because they couldn't put the pillar into the track, because that wouldn't make sense. So they, let's make a little box here for it to go through. So that's pretty cool. A little bit of switches here, a little bit of a might be a freight yard. I don't think this is a passenger. This is like a passenger operations yard. That doesn't look like that to me. It looks like a freight yard to me. But so yeah, the line we were looking at was let's see if I can read this. This is the Hakshin Line, and the Hakshin Line goes on the single track over here. It looks like actually might have two tracks. I'm not sure. No, I think it's just a single track. And it splits on a bridge of all things. Very New York subway type junction here. And then we comes into the yard, and you can see the trains too. Okay, so we have yes. So this is an older train here. I'm not exactly sure what I don't really know Japanese train names and models, but I recognize this type of train. It's a much older style. I really like the look of them. And here's the newer trains, and we have some more local and rapid transit type trains. It's probably run like commuter type services. And we have much longer trains that probably run the longer distance services. And a lot of big mixture of different consists in this yard here. Very big yard too. So this is probably the main yard for Niigata passenger operations. And you have some more trains over here. More of the same, looks like. And here's the older. I really love these trains. They're very beautiful trains. Here's an orange-green one. Yes. So I can't remember the name of this this model of train, but it's one of my favorites. It's a very weird-looking little cute train. I'll remember someday because it would take me forever to look it up. I'd have to look up what Hakshin Line, what's the rolling stock on that. But yeah, so we have this. Looks like, okay, for a second I looked overgrown, but actually this is just the way to get in the yard. So yeah, we're following this Hakshin Line this way, and it joins up, and it becomes two tracks eventually. Little deviation here, not deviation, little cut over to where it thinks the track is, and mostly we've not hit a single station yet. We come to another yard, which to me looks like a freight. Yep, you got the freight terminal. Still two tracks. Here's our first station. So Higashi, not Niigata. So Higashi is east. I think, yes, because this is eastern Niigata. So Higashi Niigata, and very simple side platform station. Very thin side platforms here. Very nice and rusty bridge over the tracks here, and all around pretty nice station. Probably as much as it really needs to be for a two-track station. I don't know if there's if there's a lift. Yes, there is. There's a elevator here, so it's accessible. It's high-level platforms. That's pretty good. I just wish maybe there were. I think there's not enough covered space on this platform over here. They should probably probably extend the roof as far as here. But that might be because I'm not exactly sure, because you would think that this track would be the more popular track to be on, because this is the track going into downtown. So not sure. I feel like you should put more roof. That's one recommendation I have. We're going to continue following this line, coming junctions with the freight line up here, and really interesting level crossing here that does not look like, yeah, that looks like people can use it. Yeah, that's a level crossing you can use. And this is weird. So you kind of have to go off of the road onto this little, what I guess in the US you'd call a service road, or there's another term I can't remember. Oh, and it's also one way, so you can't take a left. You have to take a left into here and then come around. Anyway, that's interesting. And we have another station. What did we come across? We have come across Olgata Station. Very long station platform. Probably about the same length as the last one. Just didn't seem as long because the roof was there. But this one has one very small section of roof. And a much newer looking, and shorter looking too, but yeah, much newer looking bridge to cross tracks here. And seems that you actually have two sides of access to the station. You have looks like a bus loop on this side. Yeah, buste something, I don't know the last kanji. Handicap parking or something, and some taxi stand. So, and then on this side you have probably just like regular private vehicle drop off. So yeah, that's pretty standard layout. Alright, sorry for the cut. My roommate just walked in, but now I am good to continue talking. So we will continue following this line. I'm not going to follow it for too much longer. We kind of, once we cross the river, we're kind of out of what I would consider Niigata. So we hit Ogata Station. We don't hit any station here, which is interesting. So no service to this part of town. Or this little town here, which I would not really sure what this is called. Doesn't really give me a Niigata Kita. Northern. Kita is northern, right? Interesting. So that's not northern, is it? Okay, so we have eastern and northern, apparently. Yeah, if I get my, I just want to make sure I've got my words right. Kita. North, yes. Higashi. East, yes. So, yes, I was correct about that. And so, yeah, so absolutely no service to this part of town. They have to use Ogata Station. And they're separated by a whole, like, big road here by the rest of town. So, if you live here and you want to go to the station, you gotta, like, walk, along one of these country roads. So, or bike. I guess you probably bike. Anyway, kind of a bummer for the people who live here. So first gap we have, and I think the reason why is because it comes along a bridge here, so you don't really want to do a station here, but probably could do a station like here or here. That would make sense, but I think they just realized, yeah, that's too close to the previous station. And that's probably why there's a big bus loop and a big loop here. That's because there's a lot of bus services that probably come up this road, probably up here maybe, and then up this road, and then along this little road here. So that's probably why. And then we have the bridge over the river, nice island in the middle here, and any station? Is there any station? Ah, here's a station, Nizaki. And we have a 3-track station here. So we have this is interesting. So we have a junction with some things happening here. My brain just had a little bit of a breakdown for a second there. So then we have 2 platforms, 3 tracks. So we have an island platform in the middle here, and we have a side platform. And the thing is that this doesn't seem to be a terminating platform. This actually continues back onto the line in the same similar style of junction. switch with the line. So actually, it looks like this track is not in use. That's interesting. That is weird. So actually, if I can probably estimate what the service pattern into the station is, what trains are on what tracks. So my guess is that trains, okay, well, we're in Japan, so we're on this side going that way. So come along here and you actually use this platform, obviously for trains coming that direction, but coming inbound to Niigata, they probably don't use this track. That's my guess. Because if they want to, I didn't even take this into account. So this actually single tracks. For a second, I thought it was a double track. So that's why, actually, that's why. So they actually just do whatever. Probably, outbound using this platform and inbound using this platform on either side. Because I thought maybe this track just wasn't in use anymore. But they can do whatever because they come along here and whatever they do, they end up on a single track. So that might be another reason why that's 3 tracks. A little bit more of a hold-up waiting there. So they need more capacity for trains waiting. So you're in a single track, and I think that at that point we'll leave this be. So we're going to go back to Niigata, and we'll take a look. So that line was actually pretty good. One little gap that I feel like would be served by another station here, but that's fine. That's decent, I guess. Better than most US transit. But we have the line. Oh yeah, the line I was interested in. Actually, I looked at before I started recording. Is the, what is it called? The Etsu line, I think it's called. Yes, the Etsu line. And so the Etsu line is the one on the left here, and this comes. It's using these tracks. Both of these lines are using these tracks, and it comes around here, all the way through this junction, all the way through this mess, and underneath. Oh, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So sometimes they just fill it in, and that's mostly safety and it's kind of I don't exactly know the exact engineering reasons why. That's something I'll need to learn in my studies, but that's kind of an example of what they do. Is where they fill it in instead of leaving the bare structure. So we have a 2-track line coming out past this yard, direct junctions with the yard, and then we have some crossovers, and we have our first station. So Etsu Ishiyama. And we have a similar situation with entrances on both sides. This is interesting. So this is probably saying don't stop here or something. That's a stop kanji. I don't know what the rest of this says, but yeah, probably just people can walk into this entrance, but you can't really do a passenger drop off here because that's what this loop is for. You have taxi. For a second I thought I said rakshi because it's very blurry, but taxi. It's taxi stands and some more taxi stands. It's not really a bus loop. It's not really a bus stop here. That's interesting. Not that I can tell. So maybe no buses terminate here. That might be the thing. They don't come here. They probably, yeah, because it's kind of out of the way. And I don't see a bus stop, symbol for me to click on. They probably are on this main road. Actually, do I have everything? Yeah, I have everything visible. So, yeah, probably no buses. They might come along this road, but they're not going to come into here. So, yeah, just taxis and cars. So we have, this station has quite a bit of roof, a lot of roof, very mix match, whatever, a lot of different types of roof. I couldn't think of it. It's a mishmash. There we go. That's a mishmash of roof types, and we have a platform that is of decent length and actually is of different length than the other one. Not exactly sure why. It looks like they might have abandoned a portion of the platform here, but don't know. And honestly, pretty cool station. Looks like it's a little bit elevated up, not really that much, but I would assume the way you get from one side to the other is underneath in what looks like a tunnel here. So does look a little much, looks a little like a shack in a way, but at least it's not an Am shack, which I would say is an improvement. And yeah, if you don't know what an Am shack is, it's where Amtrak builds a little shack at its stations where there either previously wasn't a building or there was a building that tore it down. A lot of cases of that as well. And they're absolutely terrible architecture. Usually brutalist, but brutalism gets a bad rap. It's probably because of those. But yeah, not a great building. This is not an AM shack. If anything, it's more interesting than an AM shack because there's actually like a structure to the station, and not just like a platform and a tiny rectangular building that you can't even go into. So let's just continue along. I think what I noticed last time I looked at this is that there's a big gap in this line that we'll see in a second. So go underneath all of this over the river, and you're kind of in a rural, not really rural, but very segregated types of development here. So we have a lot of farmland, very symmetrical farmland, and residential over here. And so the line comes through. It doesn't make any stops here, but it does make a stop here at Kamida, and it's an island platform, very substantial station structure. Looks like almost 3 levels of things going on here. So it's a very major station. Like, it's got a huge building that rivals some rivals a lot of buildings I've seen in my life. It's quite a building I've seen in right here. Oh, that was not a sentence. And yeah, so I'll say that's a nice station. I'll give 7 out of 10. Don't really know what it looks like inside, but it looks pretty modern to me. And it's connected to this building here, which is a something center. And yeah, so what we have interesting here is a pocket track that doesn't look to be in use anymore. Probably used to store trains in the past, but it looks a little overgrown. Don't think they use that anymore. But yeah, so the thing I noticed is that there is no station anywhere in here in Konan Ward. I'm actually not sure where oh yeah, okay, that's a big border, but there's nothing here at all. Shiritsu Kamida. I don't know exactly what this area is called, but Kamida is kind of the general name for this area. There's not a single station in the eastern part of Kamida. No clue why that is. It doesn't even look like there's any historical stations. I don't see any, remains of anything. This is just, this might be a generally newer line, but I don't think so, because this area looks pretty old. Like, this is not suburbia by any measure. This is, well, it's kind of suburbia. It's a suburb of Niigata, but it has its own character. It's got the older type of layout where it's not symmetrical or very heavily planned. It's just, it's an old town where people did whatever felt good. And yeah, so it's very interesting how this very dense old development has one station for the entire expanse of this. And it's a very substantial station. I kind of know why it's so substantial, because there's not a single other station in this town. And so that's a bit of a shame that there's not, maybe a station, here, something like that. I don't know. That seems like there should be something there. So now let's take a look. So it comes through here. It doesn't stop anywhere here. It goes over the river. Oh, interesting. So it's actually 2 separate bridges over the river. It might have been a third at some point, but it kind of separates from each other. And so there might have been a third, maybe a big bridge at some point. But anyway, so 2 separate bridges over the river. And we're out of the 3D imagery. So this will probably be the last station to look at. But Ogikawa. Very simple, very short platforms. Probably only serves, like at most maybe a 6 or 8 car train. It's got standard station decor, standard station infrastructure, access on both sides. No bus loop, no car loop, no taxi stands, just a station. And it serves this entire town here. And you can actually see there isn't really a gap here, This serves all of this. There's kind of a little gap here where these people are kind of, which station do I go to? If I'm going this direction, I probably should go to that station. I'm going the other direction, I'll probably go to that station. So I assume there's bus routes through here that take you to the station. So that's not too bad. And I'm just going to kind of stop around here where this is junction at Nitsu, and another yard and a pretty big station, pretty substantial. So we have 3 platforms, and it looks like a freight train going through or something, and 2 island, 1 side. Very, very narrow platform there. I would say a substantial amount of roof. Very big bridge because it has to go all the way to this side, because it's interesting. They have a station entrance this side and they have a bridge over, so I would say that's pretty good. Going over all of these, what I assume are freight tracks, and what looks like not really a, oh yeah, there's a little bus stop there, and a taxi stand. So a little loop on this side, little loop on this side. So some nice station here, because it's the junction of the Etsu line and the Shinkansen line. And they kind of, I assume they're kind of segregated here. So I'd assume that Shinkansen line uses these platforms, and the, what was it called? It's not telling me. The Etsu line uses these platforms, uses like this side of the platform here. So that's interesting. And yeah, it just kind of goes out that way. So let's go back to Niigata. Let's get our orientation. What direction is north? There we go. And so yeah, we followed that. Let's go back this way, because we've kind of followed, actually no, we've missed this line here. It's the Hakshin Line. Oh wait, no, we already looked at the Hakshin Line. Yeah, I'm already forgetting. And actually, just a quick observation. I've noticed this doesn't seem to be served very well, and actually this might just be Google Earth not showing me everything. So actually, let's take a quick look at Open Railway Map. And yeah, no, nothing. We got some freight spurs, but no rail transit to anywhere up here. Nothing to the airport, nothing to anywhere around here, and nothing up here. So little sparse I guess by Japanese standards. It's very sparse, and I mostly think that's just because it got built up. I don't think there was, I mean, this might have been a line at some point that passengers could use, and this is kind of a very interesting little, peninsula here, which actually reminds me of a weird San Francisco Manhattan looking thing here, and a lot of industry along here. It's probably very, very heavy shipping port. Yeah, so it's interesting. There's not much service anywhere along here, because I'd assume, and what you could do is you have a spur here at Hakshin, or somewhere along here where you have a line coming up through here, maybe underground if you have to, just kind of serve this entire area. And the thing is that you probably want a line under the river, some sort of metro subway line under this road, maybe, actually. So you come to Niigata and go under the river, probably here, come along here, maybe go have a spur here and a spur that way. So that's just kind of a way you could do it, possibly. Maybe even a streetcar line. I actually can't really get through here, but something, because I know there's definitely buses, but this is a very dense area without any rail transit. So that's a gap. I've noticed. We have Hakshin here, and that's the first station on this line westward, because you have the line that kind of follows the Shinkansen line. Well, the Shinkansen line follows it, because it was there first. Oh, this is cool. So we have a little pocket, yard that is elevated. So that's not something you see very often yet. I think there's an example of that on Path in New Jersey. I don't know why I'm talking so much about New York and New Jersey. I've been there maybe 4 times in my life, but a lot of, it's giving me a lot of vibes like this. So little 4-car trains, 2-car trains, rapid transit service, and we saw a couple of these in the yard back over east. And we have a little, looks like abandoned maybe, line underneath the tracks. Don't really know where that goes. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we have this very highly engineered line here, very high-speed rail infrastructure. I mean, it's narrow gauge, but very, very highly engineered, precisely engineered. And it's got concrete sleepers, I would assume, right here, and that's pretty cool. So, and then you switch over to wood. So we have the line coming here. Oh, ooh, wow, okay. So single track bridge. immediately. You know, we back here we were swimming in the cash. This is like, I mean, they must have redone this recently, but you know, immediately we're down to like rural transit, rural train standards of a single track railroad bridge. So that's a bit of a disappointment. So that really limits capacity to this area. But immediately we come out of this single track into 3 tracks, 3-track station. So probably a lot of trains waiting here, like this one here probably. Well, actually this is going in the other direction, but this train here waiting for another train probably to come over the bridge so it can go. So that's probably why they got a big ass station here, is because trains are waiting a lot, or it's just a lot of traffic coming through. So that is disappointment right there. Hakshin station, big station, loop on one side, entrance on the other. Looks like a path, almost like a bike path or something here. And yeah, so that's kind of the main station for this entire area, kind of. Like if you want to catch the train, you got to come here. Or I would guess most people would come down to Niigata if they're catching like a longer distance train. They'd take a bus or drive their car to park in this giant parking garage that exists here. Actually, where was it? I've lost the parking garage. Oh yeah, it's here. There it is. Big parking garage, like 5-story. Yeah, so kind of a disappointment here. We go along here and we come along a station pretty quickly. Sakia, single island platform with another track over here, pocket track, overgrown. Another pocket track here that's also overgrown, so I assume they're not using that. The Etsu line continues. Yeah, just nice station. It continues. Single track, so we're back to disappointing infrastructure. So this is in the median of a road. They definitely have space for 2 tracks here, but whatever, it's single track. Probably this is the reason why. Another single track railroad bridge. And you know, these are like, you know, they're bridges. They look a bit old. Probably haven't upgraded this line in a while. Like this little bridge that comes over in a very arc fashion. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, single track all the way through here. So there is a little bit of a constraint here, but I think they could fit 2 tracks in here. There's a little bit of a cutting here, but you could fit that. It's narrow gauge. You got a lot of room. Aoyama, single platform, single track station. Very long single platform. Interesting. Jouletsushinkansen line continues. Still single track. Not a single passing loop. Oh, here we go. Here's our passing loop. So, Kolbari station. Very blue. And a red platform on this side. And a longer platform on that side. So, this seems an older station. It's actually a little bit elevated above, so you probably, there's a bridge that technically probably could, yeah, so you got to climb up some steps to get to it. And they're also doing some construction on what I assume is a parking lot or something. So yeah, got a substantial amount of roof. I like the blue, it's actually pretty nice. But we're immediately back into single tracking, and we have a little spur off of this into some pocket track that, what is it called, a pocket track if it's not in the middle of the tracks? I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, another abandoned track there. So we continue, no stops. In fact, not a single stop anywhere in between, so that's a bit disappointing. It's a Terao, and really wide island platform here. You could practically fit another track in the middle here, and it'd still be wide enough for people to use. Google Maps Google Earth is kind of simulating that for us by putting the line straight through. So yeah, this is another passing loop, and you have another spur off of the main line that God knows where that went. Probably just a pocket track. Please correct me in the comments if my terminology is not correct. And another one on this side. So these stations all have, you know, one on this side, one on this side that is abandoned. Not really sure what's the purpose they serve. Probably storage, but it doesn't seem like there's much space here. Maybe they've built the road since, but interesting. And we continue. We got a big level crossing with a pretty major looking road here, and still single track. Very, very wide gap between stations here. I feel like you could put one right here. Yeah, I guess I'm just really a fan of hyperlocal transit. This is hyperlocal rail transit anyway. This is just these wide gaps on these what looks like very, single track line. Like this is single track line. That's like the definition of like a hyperlocal transit line is usually single track. Okay, well, hyperlocal. Well, usually it's a rapid transit line, but that's double tracked, and because it's built to higher standards. But come on, this something in the middle here. All right, so we're at Niigata Daigaku Mae. So this is in front of Niigata Daigaku, Niigata University. Not exactly sure where that is. Where is Niigata Daigaku? Oh, it's over here. That's not really in front of it, but that's fine. Here's the main gate. That's a decent walk. It's probably a bus. But the funny thing is that you can only access this station from this side. So if you live here, you are shit out of luck. Pardon my French. Yeah, because it's elevated above the track here, so it's actually kind of like you got 3 levels of stuff going on here. We have this neighborhood, we have the station, then we have this neighborhood up here. So people who live up here and want to get to the station, they gotta, what do they gotta do? Either come around to this road, go all the way up here and under, and then around. Okay, that's terrible. Honestly, that's terrible. I would feel terrible living in this house and not being able to access the station literally right next to me. Always bothers me when I see stuff like that. So that is interesting. Yeah, I assume a bus comes through here and takes people to Niigata Daigaku. And then we have what is actually pretty interesting is we have a loop for the station that acts as like just a neighborhood road. Because it's a loop, but it has stuff in it, so that's pretty cool. And we'll just continue. This is actually one of the more interesting lines we've looked at. Bridge over the road, still single tracked. So it seems every station, every other station is a passing loop. Yeah, because this one was not a passing loop. And we get to very, very tiny level crossing there. Still big gaps between these stations. I mean, this is kind of the standard gap, I guess, between these stations is about that much. Let's actually measure that. How much is that? Ooh, that's a, nope. Oh, that's not what I wanted to use. I wanted to measure. There we go. 2 whole kilometers. Yeah, I'm not walking 2 kilometers, but I assume there's a bus. Well, I guess you have to walk 1 kilometer if you live in the middle. Anyway, it's actually more than a kilometer because you're not walking in a straight line. This is not as the bird flies. I'm not a bird. Yeah, so it's kind of just a shame seeing the gaps between stations like this sometimes. I really do like having, station every kilometer or so. It's nice. I mean, it makes for slower services, but in an ideal world, you can make it so you have express services and local services. But you usually need 4 tracks for that. Otherwise, things get held up. So here we have what used to be, oh man, did this used to be 2-tracked? Double track? No, it doesn't look like the spaces there, but it might have been double tracked at some point. But yeah, come into here. This is the passing loop. Substantial station with a car loop here, taxi, bus stop, and a really big bridge. Very weird big bridge that takes you over here. Very unique, one-of-a-kind terrain here, making it so you need that big bridge. That's pretty cool. And also you can actually you can go down and then back up if you really feel like it, or you can just use the bridge. Anyway, that's pretty cool, and because this is actually Uchino Elementary School. Shogaku. Yeah, Shogaku is on. I gotta check. Every time I say something, I gotta check. Shogaku. No. No. What is the word? I'm cheating. My Japanese is so rusty. Yeah, oh. School. Shogakko. Yeah, not gaku. Gakko. I was close. I was very close. Shogakko. So Uchi no Shogakko is right there. So that's actually really nice, you know. I mean, I've heard in Japan, like, you know, elementary schoolers just, you know, riding the train to school. That's a thing that happens. So yeah, it's pretty cool having I wish my elementary school was that close to a train station. Come along here, still single tracked. Still single. So it's probably the bridges, honestly. But yeah, it's kind of disappointing seeing all this single tracking. Really, I mean, it must be pretty efficient, because this seems like a pretty heavily used line. Oh, yep, here's some non-existent double tracking that used to be there. It used to be a passing loop here, no clue why they got rid of it. Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, this is kind of a station that is past its prime. And has two very non-distinctive loops on each side that are just kind of a blob of asphalt. And yeah, that's that. Just kind of serving this community here. It's really serving most of the stuff on this side of the river. Well, I guess people would probably walk across the bridge, but yeah, just kind of serving this little community here. And then you're immediately into farmland, and I think that's where we'll stop looking at that line. But so let's go back. So yeah, overall this line kind of filled with disappointments. Stations generally are what they should be. The line itself really should not be single tracked for something that goes through some very dense areas. I really am scared to see what this. I'm scared to look up the service pattern on that line and how it might be affected by the fact that it's single tracked in so many places. Granted, there's a lot of passing loops, and there's stations close enough together where the passing loops would probably make it almost feel like a double track line. So that seems like it might work, might just work, but I have my doubts. And also, yes, please serve this entire area. This is a lot of people that need rail transit. Like big skyscrapers, man. This is literally a fucking city. Oh my god, it's a scramble. I love these things. I love scrambles. This is a pedestrian scramble, as they call it, where you can just cross in any direction because all the lights are red, and so you just cross in any direction. There's one in downtown DC in Chinatown that they recently got rid of the nice painting. There was like nice paintings in like the diagonal ones, but they got rid of it. Hope they replace it soon. Yeah, so let's take a look. What else have we missed? I think there's only one more line that we've missed. Oh, actually, I think let me check open railway maps. Open railway map, not plural. Yeah, we've hit everything. There's only 3 lines coming in, plus the Shinkansen line. So yeah, there's this line down here, but yeah, that's for another day. So yeah, that's Niigata. This has gone on for probably half an hour. I should probably go to sleep. Oh my god, it's been like 45 minutes. I should sleep. I should probably go to sleep. But I hope you liked this. I hope it wasn't terrible quality. I'm sorry for the cut in the middle there. I hope it wasn't too bad. And subscribe if you enjoyed. Leave a like. Comment if you desire. And I might do another one of these. Leave recommendations for areas I should look at. It doesn't have to be Japan, doesn't have to be on Earth, but I think there's only trains on Earth, last I checked. So yeah, please let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video if it ever comes.